You're listening to the Kirkintilloch Herald, a Q&A review recording service podcast, brought to you by our team of volunteers currently recording from their homes across Scotland. Whether you're listening via the BWBF online players, the telephone app, or our brand new Alexa skill, please phone us on 0141 772 3976 to feedback on what you want us to provide and improve upon. Please also join your family and friends in being our audio ambassadors and share our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram all at Q&A Review. That's at symbol CUEANDREVIEW.
This week's Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald, date Wednesday, 13th of April 2022.
Homes Plan Passed by Herald reporter. Planning permission has been granted for 228 homes to be built by Cala Homes, despite huge opposition from local people. Cala management had lodged two major housing applications with Eastern Bartonshire Council, one for 160 homes next to Waterside and another for 68 properties on an adjacent site at Christon Road in Kirkintilloch. The proposals had attracted a large number of objections, almost 160 in total, ranging from the impact on wildlife to the scale of the development, potential traffic problems, and lack of play provision. There were also concerns about potential flooding and increased pressure on schools and healthcare services. Extensive reports from planners addressed these points in detail before recommending both applications be granted, subject to various conditions and legal agreement to secure a quantity of properties for the affordable housing market. The first report stated, quote, "Overall, the proposed development is considered to comply with national policy and the provisions of the adopted local development plan. Therefore, it is recommended that the planning permission be approved." End quote. The second report contained similar recommendations and also highlighted the number of homes that would be created for affordable housing tenants. Lenzie and Kirkintilloch South councillor Rod Ackland claimed there was an elephant in the room with regard to both applications, and that was the existing Woodley Village development to the west of the target sites. He said, quote, "Unless Christon Road gets a major upgrade along its full length, the only practical road connection between these two proposed linked developments and the outside world is through Woodley Village, and there are currently only two road connections that are worth taking between Woodley Village and the outside world, primarily to Kirkintilloch." End quote. He said that to the west there was an imposing and well-planned front door onto Initiative Road, but added that to the east was a far more modest back door to Waterside Road. He added that residents from these new estates headed by car to Kirkintilloch, but it seemed that those living further east would be inclined to use the back door, and this would lead to congestion problems in Market Road and other nearby roads, as the existing infrastructure was struggling with the traffic already emanating from Woodley Village. This, he added, was an issue raised in several objections to the housing proposals. Councillor Ackland was informed by council officers that traffic assessments, which have been publicly available since September 2021, do not predict traffic problems on the wider network around Market Road, and that a number of objections received predated the publication of that report. As the committee was about to agree the first application, Councillor Sandra Thornton moved to refuse. She said, quote, "I am not happy about this at all, but I am not quite sure what objections the planning department would agree to. There is a total lack of infrastructure. Doctors, dentists and local clubs are full." End quote. She added that she had been speaking to a local constituent who was no longer permitted to work from home, but had been unable to find a nursery place, including at council facilities. She said, quote, "It's silly to be putting in more houses when there is no room for them," end quote, before citing the lack of infrastructure and local passenger transport. She was seconded by Councillor Gordon Lowe, but they were outvoted by 10 votes to 2. Councillors Thornton and Lowe proposed a similar amendment on the second application, with Councillor Lowe stressing that his support was based on the proposed development being larger than the indicated capacity at the site. The outcome of the vote was 9 votes to 3 in favour of granting the application. Many local residents have hit out at the decision. One posted, quote, I have lost all faith in the planning process, having objected to another development with many other people and then seen the same outcome at Waterside and Jelly Hill in Bishopbriggs. Short-term thinking, no thought to our long-term future or the wider impact." End quote. Another said, quote, "Schools are saturated as it is, and the space they propose to build on is well used by the local communities." End quote.
This week in history. April the 12th, 1981. Death of Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber World Heavyweight Boxing Champion. On the same day in 1989, Sugar Ray Robinson, unbeaten welterweight champion and 5 times winner of the middleweight title, died. On this day last year, the number of people in the UK to have received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine reached more than 32 million. April 13th, 1964. Sidney Poitier became the first black man to win an Oscar for Best Actor in The Lilies of the Field. April the 14th, 1931. The Ministry of Transport issued the first highway code. April the 15th, 1942. Malta was awarded the George Cross for its heroism during German and Italian bombardment. On this day last year, Google Earth would now allow people to see the most vivid depiction of our rapidly changing planet in interactive, explorable 3D. It was announced. April 16th, 2007. The Bank of England was forced to publish an open letter to the Chancellor for the first time after a shock surge in inflation to above 3%. April 17th, 1984. PC Yvonne Fletcher was shot dead outside the Libyan People's Bureau in central London. She had been policing a small demonstration outside the embassy. On this day last year, the Queen bid a final farewell to her beloved husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, in an intimate COVID-secured funeral like no other at St George's Chapel. Net Zero Action. A number of further early actions to support the transition to net zero emissions across its services and the continued reduction of its carbon footprint has been agreed by East Dunbartonshire Council. Last summer, ahead of the UN Climate Summit in Glasgow, the Council agreed to produce a climate action plan to be finalised in 2023. In advance of this, there was unanimous agreement at a recent Council meeting on a number of early actions. These include a strategy for decarbonising council buildings, a study on zero or low carbon solutions for the replacement Balmildy Primary and Lenzie Academy buildings, preparation of a fleet of decarbonised plan, building on electric vehicles already introduced, feasibility to reduce waste and carbon emissions from road building.
MSP, Best Deal on Council Tax. Official figures reveal that council taxpayers in East Dunbartonshire pay on average £618 a year less than they would in Tory-run England and £429 less than in Labour-run Wales, according to a local MSP. Strathkelvin and Bearsden SNP MSP Rona Mackay said that across Scotland, council taxpayers get the best deal in Britain. She said the figures also demonstrate that the savings for Scottish council taxpayers in comparison to what those in England and Wales will pay is going to be even greater next year. The research shows that Band D council taxpayers in East Dunbartonshire pay £1,348. That's £618 less than the equivalent in England and £429 less than in Wales. Council tax across Scotland is lower than in England. For 2022-23, the average Band D council tax bill in Scotland is £1,347, compared to £1,966 in England and £1,777 in Wales. For 22-23, the average charge for all property bands, including E, F, G and H, is between £413 and £651 lower than England. The average council tax increase in Scotland for 22-23 was 3%, compared with 3.5% in England and 2.7% in Wales. Ms Mackay said, quote, "Council taxpayers across East Dunbartonshire are paying £618 less than they would in England. In fact, across Scotland they get the best deal in Britain. On top of the £150 council tax rebate announced by our Finance Secretary, This shows the Scottish Government is doing all it can with its restricted powers and resources to keep as much cash as possible in families' pockets." End quote. £3 million needed to restore bridges. Eastern Bartonshire had no bridges deemed to be substandard at the end of 2021, new figures show. But despite having no substandard bridges, Eastern Bartonshire Council estimates it would cost £3 million to restore existing bridges in the area to a good condition. The RAC Foundation said the threat of more severe weather due to climate change could lead to dangerous collapses on the UK's highways and has urged councils to address unsuitable bridges. Out of 124 bridges in the area, Eastern Bartonshire Council identified none that were unable to carry the heaviest vehicles regularly using highways. This included lorries up to 44 tonnes. Across the UK, local authorities assessed 3,211 substandard bridges at the end of last year. This is up from 3,105 the year before, and the highest number since 2017. It means 4.5% of bridges nationally are deemed unsuitable, and it is estimated that it would cost £4.2 billion to restore them. Bridges may be deemed substandard because they were built to earlier design standards, while others may have deteriorated through age and use. Many are subject to weight restrictions, while others are under programs of increased monitoring or even managed decline. The figures also show Eastern Bartonshire Council does not intend to return any of its bridges to full carrying capacity in the next 5 years.
Support local businesses. Communities are being urged to get behind their local businesses this spring as part of the Scotland Loves Local campaign. Damon Scott, project leader and chief executive, Dunbartonshire Chamber of Commerce, said, "Our local businesses continue to need the support of local people. Many are still working hard to recover from the latest impact of COVID, and spending locally helps that cash circulating in our local economies, creates jobs, and is more environmentally friendly. We have so many amazing businesses to choose from. As well as those on our high streets, we have a wonderful array of online, freelance and home-based businesses, and a host of trades to meet most needs." Benefits hold up. Thousands of households remain on old-style benefits in Eastern Bartonshire, ahead of the government's target to complete the universal credit rollout by 2024, new figures show. Debt Charity Step Change said many claimants are being pushed into hardship by having to wait for more than a month for their first universal credit payment after migrating from older benefits. Measures recently announced by Chancellor Rishi Sunak to help with the cost of living crisis have been criticised for not going far enough to help low-income households. Locally, 2,529 households were claiming universal credit in February after being transferred from benefits like Employment Support Allowance and Job Seekers Allowance, while around 1,903 remained on the old system, says figures from House of Commons Library. Top 5 for safe drivers. Eastern Bartonshire has been named the second safest place in Britain for drivers. The area came just behind Moray, which the study deemed was the safest. The research, commissioned by car insurance experts carinsurance.ae, analysed Department of Transport data from 2013 to 2020 in areas across Great Britain on the rate of reported road accidents per 1,000 people. Moray, a beautiful rural area in the northeast of Scotland, was named the safest place for drivers in Great Britain. Moray has a population of 95,710 and has an average of just 70 car accidents per year, giving a score of 0.74 accidents per 1,000 of the population. The report named Eastern Bartonshire as the runner-up, describing it as home to the historic Mugdock Country Park and with 0.75 road accidents per 1,000 of its population. The study revealed the local area, which is described as bordering northwest Glasgow, has an average of 82 road accidents per year and 108,750 residents. As well as housing 5,000-year-old stone circles, the Scottish archipelago, Orkney, is the third safest place for drivers in Great Britain. The Orkney Islands have a collective population of 22,400 and 18 road accidents per year, the lowest out of every area in the study. The figures give a score of 0.79 accidents per 1,000 residents. Aberdeen City came fourth, followed by East Renfrewshire. The study was based on areas with a population of more than 20,000. Scotland was named the safest place overall in Great Britain, with 1.32 road accidents per 1,000 population, compared with 1.51 in Wales and 2.05 in England. Scotland accounts for 80% of the top 10 list and has secured each of the top 5 places. Meanwhile, London comes out as the least safe area, with a top 10 of the most dangerous places for Great Britain located in London. Westminster is the least safe area in the study, with 5.55 accidents per 1,000 people of population, followed by Kensington and Chelsea, with a score of 4.24, and Lambeth in third place with a score of 3.8. The least safe area outside of London is Kingston upon Hull in the East Riding of Yorkshire, which has 2.96 accidents per 1,000 people.
Pothole road to be repaired. A severely pothole-laden road that connects Netherton Oval and Castle Circle in Lennoxtown is to finally be repaired by the Health Board. The road was subject to a long period of uncertainty between residents and the Health Board as to who owned and was responsible for the maintenance of the road. The good news that work is finally to be carried out came after Lennoxtown councillor Paul Ferrietti raised the matter with the relevant authorities. Councillor Ferrietti said, quote, "After a bit of back and forth, I am delighted for residents that the Health Board has agreed to attend the site and carry out the necessary repairs, which will be self-evident on arrival. This road has been a daily blight for residents that live at the Oval, who need to negotiate the moon-like surface to walk for the bus, or to get their cars over in some circumstances. I am grateful to the Health Board Estates team in addressing this matter, and appreciate the efforts of residents who have supported me with the relevant information to take this forward on their behalf." End quote. Residents expressed their relief on social media, with one posting, quote, "Thank you so much for seeing this through. So many would have just stopped at the first rejection. Can't wait to be able to walk along that road without having to dodge potholes." End quote. While another posted, quote, "That's great news. Well overdue, but glad it's finally getting fixed." End quote. Beautician wins top international award. A beauty salon owner in Kirkintilloch is celebrating after winning an international award. Lindsay Chambers was named Global Volume Lash Artist 2022 at the international competition run by Nova Lash, who are based in Houston in the USA. Lindsay runs Calathea Beauty in the town and was delighted to win the award from the many others who entered. She said, quote, "Unfortunately this year with COVID etc. we were unable to travel to Houston to receive our awards, so everything was done online. The winners were announced recently via Facebook Live. I'm absolutely delighted. This is an amazing achievement for us at Calathea Beauty. We are always striving to bring our clients the best treatments at the salon and encourage our staff to continue improving and perfecting their skills. Being part of these awards is amazing." The announcement was made at 7 p.m. Houston, Texas time, which was 1 a.m. in the morning for us in the UK. It was a late night of excitement and maybe a tipple or two. End quote. Back in 2020, Iona Robertson and Lindsay, both of Calathea Beauty in Kirkintilloch, won Best UK Lash Artist. The competition was run by Nova Lash UK and open to all lash artists throughout Britain. Iona won Best Classic Lash Artist, and Lindsay won Best London Volume Lash Artist UK-wide. The salon opened in Union Street in 2019.
John's new book rocks. A former Bishopbriggs man is hoping to score worldwide sales for a book he has just written about a cult band who enjoyed a massive following for decades, particularly in the United States. John Kilbride is the author of The Golden Road, the recorded history of the Grateful Dead. John, 54, who now lives in Cumbernauld with his wife and son, said that he was confident that there is a massive market for the book he's just spent 2 years writing. and that's despite his own admission that the band he's been a fan of since the 80s is not as well known on this side of the Atlantic. The former broadcast journalist said the Grateful Dead were one of the biggest touring bands ever from the late 60s to the mid-90s. Surviving members remain a huge act and are touring this summer, while a biopic of their legendary late guitarist Jerry Garcia is in the pipeline. The book was published last weekend by Sonic Bond Publications that specialises in music biography. The book tells the story of the band through their releases. Despite only releasing about a dozen studio albums during their career, they have since released over 100 archive live recordings. That brought back a few memories for John in turn, who first discovered the band on an expedition to the Barras as a young lad. He said, "I was in search of more old-school Clash singles but came away with a bundle of tapes that even decades later shaped my musical taste. The stall obviously wanted rid of these obscure tapes, selling them cheaper than blank tape, so I picked them up on the strength of what I'd heard and the fact that there were some Dylan covers. This was, to paraphrase the lyric, being shown the light in the stranger of places. I knew I was on the right track writing it when I spotted a guy wearing a Grateful Dead t-shirt in the Antonine Centre." Several band members have published autobiographies, and there are a large number of books that tell the band's story. This is the first that tells it through the recordings that have emerged. The book, which is priced $17.99, is available from www.burningshed.com/Sonic Bond. New site for travel vaccines. A range of vaccinations will no longer be provided by GP practices, and patients must instead receive them in pharmacies. Vaccines required for travel feature heavily and will be provided by community pharmacies for free. These include vaccines for hepatitis A, typhoid and cholera. Dr. Mark Russell, Associate Medical Director, Health and Social Care North Lanarkshire, said, "These changes are happening across all Scottish health boards as part of the GP contract. With travel restrictions easing, more people are planning to travel to destinations around the world. Some travellers may need vaccines and anti-malarials which are not provided free of charge. Pharmacies may provide this service for a fee. For more information on guidelines for each country, see www.fitfortravel.nhs.uk. For vaccinations such as pneumococcal and shingles, people will be contacted directly by NHS Lanarkshire at the point when they become eligible."
June 18 commemoration. The Falklands. Piper's Lament. Report by Julie Curry. 40 years since the Falkland Wars began, pipers across the world have been encouraged to come together to remember those who fell or were injured. Falklands veteran Graham Hopewell and Scots Guard Lance Sergeant Mark McRae joined Legion Scotland and Poppy Scotland to launch the call for musicians to take part. The Crags of Mount Tumbledown will be performed on doorsteps, streets and hillsides at 11 a.m. on June the 18th as part of national commemorations. The iconic march was composed on the back of a ration packet by Pipe Major James Riddle of the Battalion Scots Guards during the final battle of the conflict on June the 13th, 1982. After 9 hours of fierce fighting and hand-to-hand combat, British forces captured the stronghold which guarded the approach to the Falklands capital, Stanley. This led to the Argentinian surrender, but cost the lives of 8 Scots Guardsmen and 1 Royal Engineer. After the battle, Pipe Major Riddle, from Stonehaven, climbed to the top of the mountain and played the first rendition of his new composition. The following day, British forces retook Stanley, and the Argentines surrendered. Sadly, Pipe Major Riddle died from a brain tumour in 1997. Graham Hopewell, from Ayrshire, was a 19-year-old drummer with the Scots Guards when he was sent to the Falklands, serving under Piper Major Riddle. One memory he will never forget is coming under attack in Bluff Cove on June the 8th. Shortly after he landed, Argentinian Air Forces hit the British ships, Sir Galahad and Sir Tristram, resulting in the loss of more than 50 lives. He said, "We heard a massive explosion. When the planes came over the top, we just started shooting. There was no time to think about it. Later on, when we heard the ships had been hit, we realised it was real. I knew many of the Welsh guards who were on the ships, and a close friend was killed in the attack. That was a huge shock, and it made us more determined to go on, so they hadn't lost their lives for nothing." Graham, 59, who now works as an undertaker, added, "The Falklands has always stayed with me. I was one of the lucky ones, but I think everyone was affected by it in some way. I felt honoured to play as part of the anniversary commemorations. It's important that we remember all those who lost their lives." Lance Sergeant McRae, from Sutherland, has served in Iraq and Afghanistan and travelled the world with the Scots Guards pipes and drums. He said, "I'd encourage other pipers around the world to join us in paying tribute." Legion Scotland and Poppy Scotland have launched a programme in commemoration of events in partnership with the Armed Forces and the Scottish Government to remember the conflict. It will culminate in a national parade and service of remembrance in Edinburgh on Saturday, June the 18th. Falklands and veterans, bereaved or relatives, are also being offered free travel and accommodation to the UK-wide service at the National Memorial at Arboretum in Staffordshire on June the 14th, the anniversary of the ceasefire. A package of resources for schools will allow young people to learn more about the conflict, and Poppy Scotland's mobile museum, Bud, will also visit schools in the areas with a close connection to the conflict, including Arbroath, home to 45 Commando, the Royal Marine Unit which played a key role in the liberation. Teresa Davidson, 65, from Glenrothes, whose husband Lance Sergeant Clark Mitchell was killed on the day of the Afghanistan surrender, joined the charities to launch the programme. A foster carer, she was just 25 when she was widowed. Lance Sergeant Mitchell was one of 8 Scots Guards killed in the Battle of Mount Tumbledown on June the 14th. She said, "I remember it as if it were yesterday. I was in our quarters at Lasswade, Midlothian, when an officer and his wife came to the door to tell me the news. My world just fell apart. I lost everything, my husband, my best friend, the family we wanted together. She met Clark, then a junior soldier from Lawrence Kirk, when she was training with the Women's Royal Army Corps. After an amazing 6 years of married life, they returned to Scotland to start a family when the conflict began." Teresa added, "On the morning of the 14th, I felt so happy and I thought, thank God the war is over. Then it was like something had hit me and I knew something had happened to Clark. Losing him changed me, and it took me years to rebuild my life. He was an extremely good soldier, but he was also very gentle, kind and caring. I will never forget him or the sacrifices he and the other men made. To me, it's about keeping the memories alive." On April the 2nd, 1982, Argentinian forces invaded the British territory, leading to the 10-week conflict. In total, 255 British servicemen, 649 Argentine military, and 3 civilians died. Many more were also wounded. For more information, visit www.poppyscotland.org.uk/Falklands40. Half of us don't know the signs of bowel cancer. Report by Julie Curry. New findings commissioned by Bowel Cancer UK reveal that nearly half of people in Scotland cannot name any symptoms of the UK's second biggest cancer killer. With April being Bowel Cancer Awareness Month, the charity has released a new survey results to raise awareness of the UK's 4th most common cancer. One of the key red flag symptoms is blood in your poo, but only just over a quarter of people, 27% in Scotland, are aware of it. The other 4 main symptoms, experienced by many who go into the diagnosis with the disease, have an alarmingly low rate of awareness. Change of bowel habits, 13%. Pain in your tummy or abdominal pain, 7%. Weight loss, 7%. Unexplained fatigue, 1%. Men are less likely than women to recognise symptoms, with 55% unable to spot any signs of bowel cancer, compared to 36% of women. Dr. Lisa Wilde, Director of Research and External Affairs at Bowel Cancer UK, said, "Bowel cancer remains Scotland's second biggest cancer killer, so it's shocking that people aren't aware of the symptoms to look out for. If you notice any signs of bowel cancer, or if things just don't feel right for you, please visit your GP. While the disease largely affects people over the age of 50, more than 2,600 under 50s in the UK are diagnosed each year, so it's really important people seek advice as soon as possible, whatever their age. Nearly everyone diagnosed at the early stage will survive bowel cancer, but this drops significantly as the disease develops. Knowing the key symptoms and visiting your GP if you have any of them can help increase the chances of an early diagnosis." Dr. Philippa Kay, GP, author and bowel cancer patient, said, "I completely understand it can be daunting visiting your GP with symptoms. However, it is so important that you book an appointment as early as possible. Please don't feel embarrassed, don't ignore any symptoms, and don't put it off. As GPs, we are used to seeing lots of people with bowel problems, and if you're worried that something is wrong, we want to see you. Early diagnosis could save your life." For more, visit www.bowelcanceruk.org.uk. And that report was by Julie Curry. Sharing joy of books. More than 2,500 books have been donated to families supported by Home Start Scotland, thanks to a national charity. The generous donation from Scottish Book Trust will be shared among many of the 30 home starts across Scotland. Scottish Book Trust, BookBud and Read Write Count bags provide picture books suitable for babies, toddlers and children up to primary school age. Kristen Carlin, Home Start Scotland Director, said, "We are delighted to receive this wonderful donation from Scottish Book Trust. For parents, just a few minutes reading gives them time to step back from the stress of everyday life and enjoy special time with their youngsters. Reading opens up a world of endless possibilities." To find your local Home Start, visit www.home-start.org.uk/find-your-nearest-home-start. End of an era as Bowls Club shuts after 45 years. Report by Liz Gallagher. Hundreds of members of an indoor bowling club are bidding an emotional farewell this week after 45 years of sport and friendship. The club, housed at the current Allender Leisure Centre with a 320-strong membership, made up of enthusiasts throughout Eastern Bartonshire, has been forced to close to make way for the new £33 million Allender Leisure Centre development. Eastern Bartonshire Council's Lib Dem/Conservative-led administration decided against including an indoor bowling green in the plans for the new centre due to be completed this year. A campaign launched by the club and its supporters in a bid to change the council's mind garnered huge support from the local community. But, unfortunately, the council refused to budge. At the time, Honorary Secretary Sandy Torrey said, "We were advised the projected budget for the new centre had gone up and, as a result, the council were not going to be in a position to go forward with a new bowling hall." This obviously came as a great shock to us, and for nearly 10 years the phrase "like for like" was the only option and recommendation. Some club members were in tears this week as they played their last games in the indoor green, which the council's website still describes as one of the finest in the west of Scotland. Membership ranges from age 9 to 90, with many junior members. Some members have been there since it began in 1977. Club Committee Administrator Andrea Torrey told the Herald, "It's so sad. We still have 320 plus members. Many other clubs are still going with half the membership, but we just don't have the premises. We're in the process of trying to sell club items off. The assets of the club are being divided up. It's tragic." To mark the club's 45 years in the place they called home, members are hosting a final farewell event from 2 to 4 p.m. on Wednesday, April the 13th. Andrea said, "The day is to thank all our supporters and everyone for being members over the many years. It's a celebration of the club. Guests will include past and present honorary members and representatives from the clubs out with the area. The last games were played on Friday. And that report was by Liz Gallagher. NHS, where to get help after a sexual assault? Report by Julie Curry. A marketing campaign has been launched to ensure people know about a dedicated national NHS service that offers choices in healthcare, forensic examination and support after a rape or sexual assault. The national service, which is to be implemented across all health boards, will allow those 16 and over to self-refer for a forensic health examination at a Sexual Assault Response Coordination Service, SARCS, whether or not they wish to report it to the police. Funding of £11.7 million has been invested by the Scottish Government following the unanimous passing of a Forensic Medical Services Act 2021 by Parliament. This money has gone towards creating healthcare facilities for examinations across all health boards, to recruit more specialist staff and set up a single point of contact for self-referral through NHS 24. The campaign, which will run across digital channels and outdoor advertising sites, encourages people who have experienced a sexual crime to visit the NHS Inform website for information to help them decide what the next best step is for them. Professor Sir Gregor Smith, Chief Medical Officer, said, "It is very important that everyone knows about this service. While I hope that people will never need to use it, for those who do, knowing where to turn to for support and information is a vital part of getting them back in control." This legislation marks an important step in ensuring that those who have experienced a sexual assault have access to healthcare and support, even if they don't feel ready to report it to the police. The campaign will be running over the next few months to raise awareness of the Sexual Assault Response Coordination Service, SARCS. Sandy Bridley, Chief Executive of Rape Crisis Scotland, described this as a huge step forward in improving responses to rape in Scotland. She added, "Immediately following rape or sexual assault can be a really difficult time to make decisions about whether to report what has happened, but there are time limits involved in being able to capture forensic evidence. Self-referral means that if someone doesn't feel ready, they can ensure all the evidence is captured and make the decision when they are." For more information, visit www.nhsinform.scot/SARCS. That's www.nhsinform.scot/SARCS. And that was a report by Julie Curry.
125th Celebration of Scottish Agriculture. An article by Julie Curry. The Royal Scottish Agricultural Benevolent Institution has launched a year of special activities to mark its 125th anniversary. The RSABI, which supports people in Scottish agriculture, was founded on April 7th, 1897, to mark Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee and in recognition of the agricultural depression at the time. Her Majesty the Queen has been its patron for her entire 70-year reign. When initially set up, the charity's aim was to help Scottish tenant farmers in need, and at its first AGM, the funds available supported 16 pensioners to each receive £20 per year. David Leggett, RSABI chairman, said, "Over the years we have evolved significantly and now support many hundreds of people of all ages across the agricultural industry each year. The support services on offer are wide-ranging and include emotional and practical support, as well as financial assistance. During the months ahead, we will launch a pilot programme for young people. We are keen to ensure people of all ages are aware RSABI is here for them. As well as extending its helpline services this month, the charity is also working on a new website aimed at clearly communicating the wide range of support it offers in a way which is easy to navigate. Exciting plans for our RSABI's 2022 Great Glen Challenge will be announced shortly, including a new sponsor and a Challenge 125 initiative. This will start at the Royal Highland Show in June and run until the Great Glen Challenge on August 26th. The supporters scheme has now been firmly established as a cornerstone of the charity's income stream, and a target of 125 new supporters has been set for the year. The anniversary will also be toasted with a St Andrew's dinner on December 2nd, Carol McLaren, RSABI Chief Executive, said. During our anniversary year, we will very much be celebrating the extraordinary people involved in Scottish agriculture and thanking everyone who supports our work. The support from farming families and agricultural businesses, which has built up over 125 years, is a huge strength which underpins the work we do for people facing difficult times. That, as we said, was an article by Julie Curry. Special thank you from Her Majesty. Her Majesty the Queen has sent a message to thank people all over the UK who have come together to plant over 1 million Jubilee trees in her name. Her message marks the halfway point for the Queen's Grand Canopy initiative, which spans 2 official tree planting seasons. Tree planting will commence again in October through until the end of the Jubilee year. Her Majesty and the Prince of Wales marked the start of the official planting season for the Queen's Green Canopy in October last year, with the planting of a copper beech tree at Balmoral. Since then, thousands of families, schools and community groups have come together to plant Jubilee trees across the country to mark her 70 years of service. Now, schools throughout the UK are being invited to design a garden to mark the Platinum Jubilee. The only stipulations are that the centrepiece of the garden must depict the St Edward's crown, which was used to crown the Queen at her coronation on June 2nd, 1953. And there must be sufficient space at the school to create the garden. The competition has been created by Forest Garden, the UK's leading producer of timber garden sheds, fencing planters and greenhouses. The school with the winning design can use its products. Entries should be sent by post to Jenny Davis, Marketing Manager, Forest Garden Limited, Unit 288, Oak Drive, Hartlebury, Trading Estate, Hartlebury, Worcestershire, DY10 4JB. The closing date for entries is June 15th. Schools seeking more advice should email Graham Paskett at paskett.co.uk. That's GRAHM PASKETT @paskett.co.uk. Finches soaring high in survey, an article by Julie Curry. It's been a golden year for Scottish finches according to the RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch 2022 results. For while house sparrows held on to the top spot, goldfinches were the biggest climbers in the top 10, with 43% more counted compared to last year. Big Garden Birdwatch is the world's largest wildlife survey and gives RSPB scientists insights into how our golden garden birds are faring. Now in its 43rd year, it is a chance for people of all ages to count the number of birds that visit their garden or a local park or green space. This year, more than 44,000 people across Scotland took part, counting in excess of 800,000 birds. After dropping 4 places in 2021, goldfinches made a recovery this year, climbing back up to number 8 after being recorded in almost 30% of gardens. With unmistakable bright yellow wing stripes and red-faced goldfinches are one of our most colourful garden birds. Anne McCall, RSPB Scotland Director, said, "Nature lovers have much to be concerned about in today's world, but the rise of the goldfinch around our homes, towns and cities is just an uplifting joy. The fact that they are doing well is for me a message for hope, that we can live alongside wildlife in a nature-positive world. It's been brilliant to see so many people taking part again this year, taking time out to watch and reconnect with birds and then generously submit their sightings to help RSPB scientists gain some insights into how our garden birds are faring." Big Garden Birdwatch results also found a small increase in greenfinch. This gives scientists a glimmer of hope that this might be the first sign of a population recovery. The species has suffered a population crash caused by a severe outbreak of trichomonosis and was added to the UK Red List last year. The house sparrow remained at the top of Scotland's birdwatch rankings, with more than 145,000 recorded sightings. Starling and blue tit remained at number 2 and 3 respectively. Dawn Chorus Day takes place on Sunday, May 1st, when RSPB Scotland will be hosting special Dawn Chorus events. Find out more at www.rspb.org.uk/DAWNCHORUS.
Let's talk. This week's letter section. Please send your letters via email to kirkyherald@ganscotland.co.uk and write letters in the subject field. Bowling Club. Council not listening to electorate. Sir, the closure of Allender Bowling is another example of the council not listening to their electorate. It is my understanding that Allender Bowling was giving the council almost £57,000 per annum in rent for the indoor facilities. Would the council please explain to everyone where they're going to replace this income from? As there is not another indoor bowling facility within a 4 to 5 mile radius, surely it makes sense to keep the Allender going, particularly as it attracts bowlers from all over Dumbartonshire. Yes, numbers may be falling in clubs. However, that means those who wish to continue playing will join one of the surviving clubs, like the Allender, which has been around for 45 years. This can only make the club stronger. The least expensive solution here is to save the current bowling facility at the Allender and demolish the remainder as the previous wished. Yes, there will still be plenty of room for car parking as they intended. I do hope the council will reconsider their position and not continue to ignore the wishes of the electorate. Yours, etc., E.R. Cunningham, by email. Downsider requirement for more bungalows to be built. Sir, I am so disappointed and annoyed that the planning approval for a 15 4-bedroom houses and 7 5-bedroom houses near Croft End Cottage in Bishopbriggs has recently been approved. I'm sure many people would like to downsize to more accessible accommodation, i.e. 2 or 3 bedroom bungalows, either detached or semis. They would in turn free up larger homes. It is a pity that developers feel that their profit margins are not high enough to merit building bungalows, or that demand would be low. I think there should be legislation to include bungalows in future developments on the same basis as affordable homes, for example. Yours, etc., June Ellie, via email. Only public ownership will bring about price stability. Sir, recently on state-controlled BBC Radio, Finches, i.e. British Gas, Chief Chris O'Shea, whose salary is £765,000 a year, suggested fracking could be the way to reduce home energy bills. Currently, fracking in Britain is rightly suspended following protests about the process causing minor earthquakes and other environmental hazards. Anyone old enough to recall the 1970s will remember the propaganda around the discovery of North Sea oil and gas, which claimed, when it came on stream, domestic bills could be zero. Fracking is a similar fairy tale. There was no reference in this interview to Centrica's profit of £948 million in 2021, which rose from £447 million the year before due to the price increases and the gobbling up of smaller energy companies. All this while many energy customers put on extra clothing against the cold and wonder how to pay for their next meal. It's only going to get worse. The recent rise in energy bills of approximately £700 a year will not only boost the profits. In October, another rise of £600 is planned. This is a Britain divided by class, with a government which actively encourages big businesses profiteering at the expense and suffering of the working class majority. The public health and cost of living crisis shows the economic and political system is past its sell-by date. A windfall tax on the energy giants is justified, but it won't bring relief or change. These companies, like other big business bloated exploiters, should be nationalised under workers and public control. Only then will price stability and fairness be replaced by hot air and legalised robbery. Yours, etc., Jim Milligan, via email. The Fifth Horseman. Sir, you might recognise this description. One of the much publicised photos of macho Vladimir Putin has him stripped to the waist, aboard the house, arrogant in the saddle, and trotting around the Russian wilds. Well, it popped up on one of my social feeds the other day. Surely, considering the death and destruction this man has unleashed in Ukraine, he must now be a shoo-in for the job of Fifth Horseman of the Apocalypse. Yours, etc., Jimmy Justice, by email. And that was this week's letters page. Let's talk. District News. Churches. Home Church Scotland, Lammermoor Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 2AB. Trust in the Lord, have faith, do not despair. Trust in the Lord, Psalm 27 verse 14. Home Church welcomes you to our Easter Sunday services. 9:30 AM, Communion. 10 AM, Prayer Time. 10:30 AM, Fellowship, tea and coffee available. 11 AM, Worship service in Children's Church, followed by tea and coffee. The main service at 11 AM is online and in person. Minibuses leave Home Church at 6:30 PM for the church service at Renfield Centre, Bath Street. Glasgow, at 6:30 PM for service at 7 PM. All welcome. One church, Home Church, 5 locations, Kirkintilloch, Glasgow, North Coast, Northern Ireland, Stornoway, and online. A church for all ages. Wednesday, home groups are cancelled during school holidays. See Facebook and Instagram for up-to-date information. Kirkintilloch Church of God. The Sunday evening Good News service at Regent Hall, Regent Street, remains cancelled for now. We are, however, continuing our Zoom services each Sunday at 6:30 PM. The speaker this Sunday will be Michael Johnson. A warm invitation to everyone who is able to join us on Zoom. Access details for the stream can be obtained by emailing hello@regenthall.org. Come to Coffee Corner at Regent Hall on Wednesday from noon to 2 PM for home baking and coffee. COVID safe measures are in place. For up-to-date and further information on our services, visit our website on www.regenthall.org. Jesus said, "Now this is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent." John chapter 12 verse 3. St David's Memorial Park Church. At St David's Memorial Park Church, our morning service on Sunday, April the 17th, marking Easter, will be at our usual time of 10:30 AM and will be led by our Church of Scotland reader, John Nicholson. During our morning worship, school-aged children will have the opportunity to go through to their halls for their own time of fun and learning with JAM. All are welcome to attend our service. We would ask that you continue to wear a face mask during the service unless exempt from doing so. We look forward to welcoming you to the church. During Holy Week, there are several services that will take place in various churches across Kirkintilloch. On Wednesday, April the 13th, at Hillhead Church. Thursday, April the 14th at St Mary's Church. And again on Saturday, April the 15th, a further service at St David's Memorial Park Church. All the services commence at 7:30 PM. All are welcome to attend and share in this time of worship. The Walk of Witness will also take place on Saturday, April the 15th at 11 AM in the local town. All are welcome to attend these services. Our Tuesday lunchtime services have now resumed and take place each Tuesday from noon till 12:30pm. Our next service will be April the 19th. All are welcome to attend. St James Church, Hilton Road, Bishopbriggs. Rector Reverend Canon Paul Watson, 0141 230 4080. On Saturday, April 16th, Dads and Toddlers will be taking place in the church hall from 10:45am. All dads and toddlers are very welcome to come along. Bacon rolls will be provided for the dads. On Sunday, April the 17th, Easter Day, when we celebrate Christ's resurrection, there will be a Sunday club at 10:30am. The church is now open for socially distanced services. Face masks are personal choice. The Thursday 11am service is cancelled, as there is a Monday-Thursday service on April the 14th at 7pm and on Easter Sunday at 9am and at 10:30am. Everyone is welcome to come along to any of these services. Do stay on for tea or coffee and fellowship afterwards. The meditation labyrinth is still available in the car park for a mindful walk around. There are also virtual services and groups. For up-to-date and further information, refer to our social media: Facebook, St James LS, Bishopbriggs. Website, www.stjamesbishopbriggs.org.uk. Lenzie Union Parish Church. Easter Sunday worship will be led by Reverend Dan Carmichael at 11am in the church. Young people are also welcome to Bible class. A live stream of the service is available on YouTube via our website. Tea and coffee may be served in the hall after the Sunday service. Sunday chat is at 12:30pm on Zoom. Saturday, April the 16th, from 2pm to 4pm, exploring Easter, drama, hot cross buns and Easter trail. Suitable for all ages. Come and go whenever you like. Face coverings are no longer required in church services, though face coverings should continue to be worn in the two areas where 1 metre social distancing remains. Join Holy Week services in Lenzie. Thursday, April the 14th, at 7:30pm at St Cyprian's. Monday, Thursday, communion service, remembering the last night of Christ before his death. Friday, April the 15th at 10am. Gather at Lenzie Old Parish Church for the Walk of Witness from Lenzie to Kirkintilloch. Friday, April the 15th at 7:30pm at Lenzie Old. Good Friday service, Thoughts on the Cross. St Mary's Parish Church. Sunday, April the 17th is our Easter service, and happily we can now return to our traditional way of celebrating this important day in the Christian calendar. The early Easter morning walk will leave from Hillhead Parish Church at 8am and walk to St Mary's Parish Church, arriving at 8:50am for a communion service. After this service, a breakfast of rolls and sausage, together with tea and coffee, will be served in the mid hall. Everyone is welcome. This will be followed at 11am by an all-age service taken by the Reverend Ruth Morrison. On Thursday, April the 14th, the Monday service will be held at St Mary's Parish Church, beginning at 7:30pm. This service will be taken by the Reverend Philip Wright. As restrictions ease, we are now able to hold our traditional strawberry lunch. This will take place after the service on Sunday, June the 5th. This is a very special weekend. This is also the Jubilee weekend, and we hope to make this lunch extra special, not only to celebrate the Jubilee, but also to enjoy our return to some form of normality. Colston Well Park Church. You are welcome to the following services at Colston Well Park Church on this Easter weekend. Monday, Thursday, April the 14th at 6:30pm. Good Friday, April the 15th at 6:30pm. And Easter Sunday, April the 17th at 11am. All services will be held by Reverend Leslie Grieve. The Colston Art Club continues this Monday starting 10am to 1pm and is open to all who enjoy art and good company. The food bank continues its good work and remains open every Monday and Friday from 2am to 4pm. All church organisations and groups are continually working hard to get back to normal as soon as possible. Check out our church services on Facebook at Colston Wilshire Park Parish Church, and if you require further information on any church activity, etc., contact Leslie Grieve on 07813 255 052. Kenmure Parish Church. As part of Bishopbriggs Churches Together, Kenmure will host a short service on Good Friday, beginning at noon. That and our Easter Sunday service will be held by Reverend Susan Anderson. Easter Sunday will now also see the signing of the schedule by last year's intake of elders. Both services will be live streamed on YouTube and can be found by searching for Kenmure Bishopbriggs. Details of all our groups that are now running may be found on website kenmure-church.co.uk. To find us on Facebook, just search for Kenmure Parish Church. That's Kenmure spelled Kenmure, Parish Church. If you would like to join our WhatsApp group or receive Bible studies from ABC, then email us at kenmurechurch@icloud.com. And that was this week's District News Church section. District News, General, Society of Antiquaries. The last meeting of the Kirkintilloch and District Society of Antiquaries for this session will be the annual general meeting, which will be held in the Park Centre at 7:30pm on Thursday, April the 21st. If you wish to attend, please send an email to kdasantiquaries@gmail.com. The annual general meeting will be followed by a presentation by Society member Murray Reid on the geology of Kirkintilloch. Baby names. Olivia has overtaken Isla to become Scotland's most popular name for baby girls for the second time, according to figures on baby names registered in 2021, published by National Records of Scotland. Jack is the most popular name for boys for the 14th year in succession, followed by Noah and Leo. Lila shot up 56 places in the top 100 girls' names to 74th overall, while Blake rose 46 places and Rowan 41. Carson has seen the largest increase in the top 100 boys' names in 2021, rising 42 places to 83rd, while Struan has jumped 37 places and Miles is up by 35. Director of Statistical Services, Pete Whitehouse, said, "Beneath the headline figures, the long-term trend for more names to be used each year, including some names only given to one baby in 2021. Almost 12% of baby girls were given a name that no other girl was registered with in 2021. Almost 9% of boys had unique names for their birth last year. Together with the growing range of names being used, this means it's far less common for children to share their name with their classmates than it was for their parents or grandparents." The top 10 boys' names were 1. Jack, 2. Noah, 3. Leo, 4. Oliver, 5. Harris, 6. Finlay, 7. Lewis, 8. James, 9. Rory, 10. Alexander. The top 10 girls' names were 1. Olivia, 2. Emily, 3. Isla, 4. Freya, 5. Ella, 6. Amelia, 7. Eva, 8. Sophie, 9. Grace, 10. Millie. Hazard warnings. The Scottish Environment Protection Agency, SEPA, is set to upgrade its floodline messaging system and incorporate other hazard notifications for communities and businesses across Scotland. Since 2011, the Flood Warning Dissemination System has issued regional flood alerts and local flood warnings to at-risk areas 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anyone can sign up to receive advance notice of flooding via an automated text or phone call for the area where they live, work or travel. Work is now beginning to transform the system and improve the customer experience by using advanced digital technology. The new Future Flood and Incident Messaging Service, FFIMS, will involve an initial phase of development over the next year, including dynamic and location-based alerts. This means notifications will be more targeted to users within a set of radius of areas at risk of flooding. Other digital communication options will be included, such as mobile alerts and email, to make accessing local and live flooding information easier than ever before. A second development phase will see localised 3-day flooding forecasts, developed in addition to the National Scottish Flood Forecast, which is planned to go live in the next couple of months. Digital developments, which are resilient, will be at the heart of FMIMS and will integrate with social media, Google and other web notification systems. SEPA will also explore the integration of multiple hazards within the new system. These include a water scarcity alerting service highlighting where droughts are possible. This gives businesses time to plan ahead for water extraction, protecting both them and the environment. Tax bills. More than 142,000 customers have used HMRC's online time to pay facility to spread the cost of their self-assessment tax bills since April 21. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, HMRC, has revealed the self-assessment deadline for 2020-21 tax returns was January 31st, but this year HMRC gave customers until April the 1st to pay any tax owed and not face penalties. Customers who were unable to pay in full but had a tax bill under £30,000 could use the online time to pay service to spread the cost into manageable monthly instalments. Those who owed more than £30,000 or needed longer to pay could use time to pay, but they had to contact HMRC to arrange it. Since April 2021, self-assessment customers have used this service to pay nearly £475 million worth of tax in instalments. Myrtle Lloyd, HMRC's Director General for Customer Service, said, "I'd like to thank the millions of customers and agents who have sent us their tax returns and paid their tax bills. Any self-assessment customers who did not pay their outstanding tax by April the 1st will now face a 5% late payment penalty on any outstanding tax." Environment. The Empress of Flowers by Sue Walker. All around the town, on the verges, next to the footpaths, on the playing fields, the fast greening grass has been sprinkled with splashes of white and pink, where daisies are taking advantage of the short time before the mowers come out in force. In some people's eyes, of course, these are weeds, not wildflowers. Weeds because they're everywhere, rather than because they're growing in the wrong place. We're very good at dismissing the common as dull, not worthy of note, but we do so at our peril. Orchids, for example, now treasured, rare and celebrated wildflowers, were once common as weeds. Luckily for the daisy, it has many supporters too, a lot of them under 10 years old. They are special for them not because they are so common, not despite it. Daisies are usually the first flower most of us will learn to identify as children. We draw them, pick them with our toes, make daisy chains from them, and love them for their simple beauty. A symbol of innocence then, but deceptively complicated too. As members of the Compositae family of flowers, a daisy is not actually one flower, but many. Each petal is a flower in its own right, as is each tiny flick of gold in its centre. In effect, every flower head is really a medal, and its common name, daisy, comes from day's eye, and not to its habit of opening at dawn and closing at dusk, revealing the dip-dyed fuchsia pink edges of its underpetals as it does so. Its scientific name, Bellis perennis, however, seems to have a much darker story. Bellis means in times of war in Latin, and refers to the Romans' practice of pounding up the plants to extract the sap, which was used as a poultice for battle wounds. So it's obviously a flower with a long history of living with humans. Of course, daisies aren't threatened, yet. bud, like the sparrows that disappeared from London, or the poppies that have vanished from our fields. Who knows whether there may come a time when daisies no longer sprinkle our lawns and verges with summer? It may be worth taking the time to really look at them while you can. Of all the flowers in the field, then love I most this flower white and red, such as men call daisies in our town, the empress and flower of flowers all. By Geoffrey Chaucer.
Fans huge for us, says Gaffer. An article written by Ian McLean. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy boss Stuart Maxwell is urging townsfolk to turn out in force to inspire his young side as they chase a place in the Scottish Junior Cup final. Rabs take on record winners Auchinleck Talbot at Meadow Park in Irving on Saturday in their first semi-final since 2009, also against Talbot. Rob Roy haven't reached the final since 1977, when they were beaten by Kilbirnie, Leadside, while the last of their 3 wins in their competition was 60 years ago in 1962. As ever, Talbot will be backed by a huge travelling support, and Maxwell believes the people of Kirkintilloch can be important for his players. He said, quote, "We've got a young team. There are teenagers in the squad and boys in their first year at that level. They deserve everybody to make that pilgrimage down, get a red and black scarf and support the team and give them all the tools they can to rise to the occasion. They might just do them proud on the day, and then the town's got a cup final to look forward to." End quote. Rabs, who face Cumbernauld United in a league match at Guy's Meadow on Wednesday, go into the week in good form after a 4-2 win over Beath on Saturday, a particularly impressive first-half performance laying the foundations. They have already upset Talbot once this season, knocking them out of the West of Scotland Cup. But Maxwell admits he'll have to strike a balance between using that win as inspiration and stressing that it will not necessarily have bearing on Saturday's match. He said, quote, "I tried to strike a balance between the positivity that we have beaten them and the fact that it's a different occasion. It's a tough one because that game's been and gone. We won the game, but it's a different day, different setting, different stage. That was the second round of a cup, and it was great to beat them. But Saturday has a different feel to it. You're 90 minutes away from a cup final and the chance to make a wee bit of history. I want the lads not to miss the boat, to grab the moment and play the game, not the occasion. It's going to be difficult for them because the occasion's massive. Cup semi-finals don't come around that often." Article written by Ian McLean. Katie takes first British swim title. Bishopbriggs teenager Katie Shanahan has won her first British senior swimming title. The 17-year-old Bishopbriggs Academy pupil held off fellow Scot Holly McGill from Edinburgh to win the 200-metre backstroke crown at last week's British Swimming Championship at the Ponds Forge International Sports Centre in Sheffield. As an added bonus, Shanahan also secured a consideration time for the Commonwealth Games taking place in Birmingham this summer. Shanahan and McGill were fastest qualifiers in the heats, but Loughborough University's Holly Osrin set the early pace in the final, turning first at halfway. However, Shanahan and McGill came through in the final 50 metres, with Shanahan taking the win in 2:11.25, ahead of McGill 2:11.84 and Osrin 2:12.12. The City of Glasgow swim team member told Scottish Swimming, quote, "I know I had to put on a good race with the girls because I knew they'd come back strong. I could see all the girls coming for me. That last 5 metres I tried to hold my ground and push as hard as I could to the wall." End quote. Shanahan added another medal and Commonwealth Games consideration time the following day when she took bronze in the 200 metres individual medley. The teenager admitted she was pleased with her performances after illness affected her in the lead-up to the championships. She said, quote, "It's gone better than I expected. I was a bit unwell, so to be doing these times, I'm really happy." Patterson medal bid ended by US defeat. An article by Ian McLean. Kirkintilloch curler Ross Patterson suffered a frustrating end to his World Championship medal bid in Las Vegas. After coming through the round-robin stage with 7 wins from 8 12 matches to reach the playoffs, Team Scotland took on hosts USA for a place in the semi-finals. But despite a fight back after a disappointing start, Skip Patterson and his team were down 6-4 to leave the Orleans Arena empty-handed. Team Scotland had beaten the Americans 9-7 in their round-robin encounter, but were 5-1 down by the halfway stage of playoff, after allowing their opponents to steal shots at 3 of 5 ends played to that point. Patterson, Kyle Waddle, Duncan Menzies and Craig Waddle battled back bravely in the second half, claiming 2 successive steals of their own at the 8th and 9th end to reduce the leeway to a single shot. However, USA skip Corey Dropkin was not made to play his final stone when Patterson's attempt to run a Scottish guard into the house, remove the counting American stone, and lie 3 narrowly failed and left a final scoreline of 6-4. Quote, "This was a massive disappointment," said Patterson, who played skip stones while Kyle Waddle called the shots. "Unfortunately, I've got to take most of the responsibility in the first half. Just miss shots that you can't afford to miss at any level. I felt good going into the game. I just felt that we've struggled on that particular sheet of ice this week, and it was the same again. It is very tricky, not forgiving at all, but I'm not trying to make excuses. There were shots getting missed that you don't usually miss, and other factors maybe contributed. The boys played great. I'm proud of them for what they've done this week in stepping up and playing brilliantly throughout this week, and in that game they played well. I just didn't make enough of the key shots in the first half and gave up steals, which you just can't do. We've come here for a medal and we've not got it. So right now it's sore, and I feel like I want to take most of the responsibility for that, because I feel as if I've let the boys down in that first half." An article by Ian McLean. Late goal wins title for Peasies. Petershill have won West of Scotland Football League Conference C after a dramatic finale to the campaign. Peasies piped Drumchapel United by a single goal after beating Glasgow Perthshire 3-1 in the final fixture at Petershill Park on Saturday, their 18th win in 19 league games. But it was a close-run thing, with a penalty converted by skipper Ross McCabe just 5 minutes from the time, securing the 2-goal winning margin required. Earlier goals by Jonathan Branks and Stephen Docherty put Petershill in front at half-time, after Babokar Musav's 4th-minute opener for Shire. Petershill's attention now turns to Saturday's Scottish Junior Cup semi-final with Yorker Athletic at Newlands Field Park. Glens close in on title with win over Leaders. Alan Glens took a massive step towards landing the Tennent's West Division 1 title with a crucial win over Leaders Stewartry at the Bear Yards on Saturday. The Bishopbriggs side's 29-12 victory preserved their unbeaten record and left them just 1 point adrift of Stewartry with 2 games in hand. This was a tough game with no quarter asked or given, with the winner likely to come out on top of the division with accompanying promotion to National 3. After absorbing a huge amount of pressure in the first half and surviving a period with 14 men due to indiscipline, Glens rallied to score 5 tries. Stewartry started off in fine style, and Glens were barely out of their half for the first half hour. However, it was Glens who produced the first try of the game. A second try by Fraser Moore added to the home tally, but the visitors immediately replied with a try by winger Johnson. Just before the break, Brian Moffat barged over from short range to make a half-time score of 17-5. On restart, Johnson repeated his first half effort for the visitors, with Higgins converting. But shortly afterwards, Glens produced a well-controlled driving maul and scored in the corner. The icing on the cake came when Alistair McConnell intercepted a pass on his own 22 and outpaced the visitors' defence to the line. Scott Thomas converted to complete the scoring. This week, Glens are at Carrick and Stewartry host third place Garnock, who are just 2 points behind Glens, but, like Stewartry, have played 2 games more. Rossvale down from top flight. Rossvale's regulation from the West of Scotland Football League Premier Division was confirmed by Kirkintilloch Rob Roy's win over Beath on Saturday. That means Vale would have to win their remaining 2 games, and Rob Roy and Glen Afton would have to lose all of theirs for the Bishopbriggs side to have a hope of staying up. But Rabs and Glen Afton both still have a few strugglers, Largs Thistle, to play, and wins for Largs would put them out of Rossvale's reach, even if they did overhaul the other 2 sides. Vale's final 2 league games are at Auchinleck, Talbot on Wednesday, April 27th, and at home to Bonnyton Thistle 3 days later. This Saturday they play Arthuli in Kilmarnock, Pie League Cup quarter final.
Thank you for listening to this week's Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, brought to you by Q Review Print Speaking to the Blind. If you've any feedback, you're welcome to call us on 0141 772 3976. If you enjoyed this recording, feel free to subscribe to our channel.